Has this ever happened to you? You get sucked into hell to marry Satan's daughter? Then you need Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell, the latest and greatest standalone expansion follow-up to the blockbuster game about saints, rows, and the Roman numeral 4.
Is that not normal?
Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell, released on January 20th of 2015, developed by Deep Silver Volition, oh that's a change, alongside High Voltage Software and published by Deep Silver. It arrived just a little over a year after Saints Row 4, with one simple question hanging over it. Where do you go when you just didn't save Earth, and the remaining 9 people of Earth and humanity are on a spaceship? Well, apparently, you go to hell. Reception to Gat Out of Hell was pretty mixed, but not in the sense that people hated it. Most critics agreed that it was entertaining, bite-sized adventure that doubled down on everything Saints Row 4 introduced. Players, however, loved the freedom and the flying around hell with demonic wings, the over-the-top weapons, Johnny Gat finally taking the center stage, and the ridiculous humor, and the fact that the game never once pretended to take itself seriously. Even today, the Steam community sits at a mostly positive rating, with thousands of players praising its fun few hours of mindless chaos rather than the massive RPG-sized commitment. Of course, not everyone walked away impressed. One of the biggest criticisms from both reviewers and players was just how short the game is. The story could be finished in only a few hours, and you could probably get it to under an hour if you didn't have to do the mandatory side content. Many objectives just boil down to repeating the same side activities all around the map, and compared to previous Saints Row games, there's noticeably less customization, fewer missions, and a smaller world to explore. In fact, it's so small that even the game references that the lack of missions through a oil painting cutscene. For some, people felt more like a collection of side activities than a fully fleshed out sequel, leaving them wishing there had simply been more. One thing that still confuses people all these years later is exactly what Gat Out of Hell actually is. It isn't downloadable content for Saints Row 4, you don't need to own Saints Row 4 to play it, and it's its own standalone expansion, meaning it's its own game with its own launcher, achievements, and campaign. That said, if you played Saints Row 4, you'll immediately understand why so many people call it a DLC. It reuses the same engine, many of the same mechanics, the same movement system, and even continues directly from the ending of Saints Row 4, minus your own custom character being in the cutscene at the beginning of the game. So while it's technically a standalone release, it absolutely feels like the kind of expansion that in another timeline could have simply been released as DLC. In fact, Saints Row 4 has 2 DLCs that are really the same length and have higher polish and quality than Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, if we're just talking story. Because Gat Out of Hell 100% is less than an hour-long game. Now, the series really isn't about overanalyzing every tiny mechanic or spending 20 minutes breaking down the symbolism behind every single cutscene. This is more about like digging into an old favorite off the shelf, sitting down with a friend on the couch and pressing start on the main menu, and seeing whether it holds up today. We'll replay the entire game together, talk about what works, laugh at the ridiculous moments, and question the weird decisions, and just want you to enjoy the ride with me. If something's great, I'll tell you. If something doesn't land anymore, I'm going to tell you that too. And if something bothers me, I'm going to tell you that as well. Think of this less as a critique and more as 2 longtime fans revisiting a game they haven't thought about in years. Adding to all of that, I'm not a lore expert. I just simply sit down and play the game that has been given to me, and I critique each game off of that said game. I'm not going to infer anything, I'm not going to try to look into the lore deeper, or add my own lore to make it make sense. We're going to look at Gat Out of Hell from Gat Out of Hell's standpoint. One thing I won't be doing is cutting around the story. Every cutscene will be left in completely intact, so Volition can tell you the story exactly the way that they intended, no matter how disjointed Saints Row Gat Out of Hell is. After each scene, I'll jump back in with my own thoughts, point out things I noticed this time around, or I'll share how well or how poorly it holds up over a decade later. So grab your wings, load up your favorite infernal weapon, mine was the chair, and let's find out together. Is Saints Row Gat Out of Hell as good as we remember? But before we dive into this nostalgic deep dive, these videos take an incredibly long time to make. For example, Saints Row 4 took me 15-16 hours to play and over 30 hours to edit. So if you like long-form gaming content, be sure to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below about what you thought about Gat Out of Hell. And maybe consider becoming a channel associate. You get access to every single video early. When I'm done with the video, editing-wise, you guys get it. as well as some behind-the-scenes vlog-style content to show you how I make said videos. If not, and you don't want to support the channel or become an associate, don't worry, you're going to get the same videos just every single Friday. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to hell. One last thing, if you're one of those people that is working your butt off while listening to me, just know, I appreciate you, and I'm happy to get you through your workday. My hat is off to you fine individuals. Get back to goddamn work. This company doesn't run itself.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a man so exceptional that the divine hosts of heaven and hell were forced to take note. A man dangerous enough to bring Satan to his knees, but selfless enough to make God himself raise an eyebrow. How did this come to pass? Well, it all began at a very special birthday party for a very special young lady.
Surprise!
What is all this?
It's your birthday, Kinzie.
So?
You've never been to a birthday party?
No.
Oh, like not even growing up?
I went to the School of the Americas since kindergarten. We didn't really do birthday parties.
But you celebrated Christmas?
I don't have to explain myself to you.
Oh, Kinzie, this is going to be so much fun. Zinjai made a cake, Jane Austen is here, we'll play some games.
What sort of games? So you celebrate birthdays by trafficking with spirits?
It's spooky and fun.
It's a bunch of letters. It's tradition. Every slumber party has to involve a spirit board.
Slumber party?
How's it work?
We ask it a question, and the spirit of the board will reveal the answer.
How?
Yeah, someone pushes the pointy thing to wherever they want.
Wait. Can we go back to you and your slumber parties?
No time. All right. Everyone put their hands on the cursor.
Cursor. I feel the magic already.
All right. Will the President/God Emperor for life ever choose a partner to reign alongside them?
No.
Ooh, someone's getting married.
Shut up, Matt.
Who will tame the president's wild heart?
What are you guys trying to spell?
I'm not moving it.
That's the spirit, Kinzie.
I'm serious.
I'm not moving it either.
Neither am I.
Jezebel? Who the fuck is...
Is that not normal?
Where'd you get the board?
I was going through Signac's artifact collection and found it there.
Who did it belong to?
Alistair Crowley?
Christ. Guys? I think it's laughing at us.
Fuck this. I think you're a smart enough piece of wood to see where this is going. Now, you ready to cooperate? That's more like it.
You think we can trust it?
It's not like we got a lot of options.
So what's the plan? We mount up and go in after the boss?
No, I do. No sense in what's left of humanity walking right into a death trap. Someone's gotta live to tell the story.
That's a stupid plan, Johnny.
I'm leaving you in charge.
Hell of a plan, Johnny.
Are you serious?
I'm coming too.
Are you kidding me?
How do you plan to come back?
Yeah, I try not to sweat the details.
You need someone with you that does.
No.
It's my birthday.
Fine. All right, then. You know where my friend is?
True to its word, the spirit board opened up another portal and sent Johnny and Kinzie screaming into hell.
Dane Vogel. Ultor's behind this, I know it.
Ultor and the Saints haven't been enemies in years. You really think he's responsible?
You don't know him like I do. The boss put him through a window for a reason.
The reason was the boss was kind of fucking crazy back then.
That's a fair point.
You know how much easier this would be if we just found a car?
You know how much easier this would be if you just gave me a second?
This brings Go to Hell to a whole new level. Okay, so we gotta steal a car. It's the classic Saints Row starting point. You just steal a car and you drive to a location. I'm gonna use this opportunity to explain the way I'm gonna come at this review. This isn't your traditional Saints Row game. It doesn't even really have any missions. You pretty much meet somebody and then you do a small arbitrary task for them and then you're just told to go do a whole bunch of side activities and then you go back to them and that's your loyalty mission, just clearing up their region. By the end of this game, I will 100% every single region, do all the loyalty missions for each individual character, but I'm gonna break up this video by individual characters just to like kind of summarize it real quick for you guys. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you're going here, you're going there, and it becomes extremely disjointed. Another thing to note is this doesn't work like a normal story. There's a meter that fills as we create chaos and hell. When that meter hits a certain point, then there's just a immediate cut to a cutscene where you interact with the devil. It's unavoidable and there's nothing you can do about it. So if the story feels disjointed, just know it's not my fault. That's genuinely how they made it. Second, I'm going to be a little bit more lenient on Saints Row Gat Out of Hell than I was on Saints Row 4 for one reason and one reason only. Saints Row 4 for me was an abysmal failure and it absolutely bastardized everything that the Saints Row was as a franchise. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell was a perfect opportunity for them to switch and fix it. Considering, spoiler, at the end of this game, God himself will allow you to choose to rebuild the world. So instead of being hard on it as a standalone game, I'm going to be hard on it as a chance to have saved the franchise and instead chose not to. For me, Gat Out of Hell could have been the perfect in-between resetting the franchise and bringing it back to its grassroots. And to me, that's the way I look at Gat Out of Hell, as a missed opportunity to go back to what we once loved. That being said, we're going to drive over to Dane Vogel. If you don't remember him, he's from Saints Row 2. He was like the evil corporation in behind all the gangs in Saints Row 2. And I genuinely believe he's an amazing villain who never got the chance to be.
Welcome to hell.
Shouldn't you have a receptionist?
Such is the plight of eternal damnation. I have a feeling you didn't come here to catch up. Let's talk in my office.
Not even death could stop the enterprising Vogel, who wasted no time in setting up an Ultor branch in the bowels of hell. Dane was eager to fill Johnny in on the ever-shifting politics of land rights in the underworld. But real estate mattered little to Johnny, who only cared where his friend was.
Where'd you put the president?
I've been trying to explain that. I didn't take them.
Bullshit. You expect me to believe you just happened to be the first thing we see in hell?
Maybe it's just me, but your thank you sounds more like an accusation.
That's probably because he plans to kill you.
Okay. I get the trust issues. Can I show you something?
The pieces all came together. The president had caused more chaos and destruction than any other in human history. It was only natural that Satan would want them to marry his daughter. They needed a plan, and Johnny had one.
I'm gonna shoot the devil in the face.
I think you might be skipping some details.
No, I said in the face.
I like the commitment, but you gotta find a way to get close enough to him in the first place.
When's the wedding? I'll just show up.
And then you'll shoot him in the face. Sorry, but it's a little more complicated than that. These things are tied to the soul. You won't be able to enter without one.
So how do we get one?
You get his attention. I know some places that are of particular value to the father of the bride. You hit those, you'll get your shot.
Wait, why would Satan give out an invitation for destroying his stuff?
Oh, he won't, but it should piss him off enough to get him to attack Johnny personally. Either the devil kills Gat and Ultor gets the construction contracts to rebuild what was destroyed, or Johnny kills Satan and I'll have to pay less taxes. It's pretty win-win.
That's why you're helping us? To make more money in hell?
Hell's what you make of it, sweetie.
Works for me. What you got?
All right.
Satan had entrusted the day-to-day running of Hell to 5 archdukes, and Dane knew how to find them all. But beyond that, not everyone in Hell was content to go along with Satan's status quo. There were others who shared Dane's ambition for power, and the Ultor mogul knew that the key to unseating Satan lay in gaining their aid. But before Johnny set out to wage war against the Prince of Darkness, Dane had one final gift, an artifact that he had spent fortunes on. Lucifer's cracked halo. This holy relic granted Johnny the majestic wings of the Morning Star. However, he still needed help in learning how to use them.
Okay, while we do the wing tutorial, which is basically learning how to use our superpowers from Saints Row 4, I want to talk about a couple things right off the bat that I would have rathered happen. First off, we're told that there is archdukes and we're going to go fight them. I'm going to tell you exactly how it's going to break down. Remember hotspots from Saints Row 4? Well, that's what we're going to do here, except for it's called marshalling grounds. We'll see this later on, but basically we complete an area and then they come out of the sky just as they did in Saints Row 4. Except for in Saints Row 4, they were called Wardens. Now, second, we saw that there is a whole bunch of people who could be our allies. The De Winter twins, Vlad, Blackbeard, Shakespeare. I would have rathered them be our enemies for each individual territories, just like gangs from the original Saints Row 1 and 2 games, and a little bit of Saints Row 3, but I would have rather them just leaned into Saints Row 1 and 2. I would have rathered them be our enemies and we take over their territories and then they join us as allies. But in this game, you'll see. I'm not going to ruin it for you. I just think that would have been a much better way to go about it. Could you imagine fighting Blackbeard in fucking hell? Dude has a literal pirate ship that can float on lava. It would have been epic. I'm getting too excited about something that doesn't happen. Inside of Saints Row, Gat Out of Hell, there's an upgrade system. This is going to be extremely easy to do. You make money hand over fist, or sorry, sins or whatever it's called. So upgrading is not going to be an issue. I'm not even going to talk about it because within like 4 seconds, I'm already max level. You just have to collect a couple orbs and then you got to go around and just do the activities. You'll make like 50 grand a piece. So just assume that within like 2 minutes, I'm going to be max level because that's exactly what happens. Finally, I want to talk about how inside of Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, everything feels better than inside of Saints Row 4. The activities are designed around the mechanics. The world feels like it's designed around the mechanics. It's not as clunky and awful as it was in Saints Row 4, so I will give props where props is due. I will also admit that it's an ugly-ass world, but what do you expect? We're in literal hell. Now, with our tutorial on how to fly done, we're going to be sent out into the world all on our little lonesome. The only area we can deal with is called the Forge, which is the industrial area that Dane Vogel's looking to take over.
Here's the deal. If you want some FaceTime with Satan, you need to get his attention. Now, Satan hates being challenged, so anything you do to undermine his control is good. Fraud, mayhem, shooting demons in the face, anything. You can keep track of Satan's wrath with this handy meter. Get it high enough and you'll be having drinks with Big Red in no time. I've compiled a list of shit to do, so take a look and do whatever sounds fun. Oh, one more thing. We have some potential allies down here. Trust me, you want to impress them.
Oh yeah, let me impress them, and then they do literally nothing. Not even joking, that's what's gonna happen. Spoilers, I know. On screen right now is the quest log. This is what Dane was just talking about when he said, I gave you a list of shit to do. In order for us to do Dane's loyalty mission, we're gonna have to do Torment, Fraud, Hell, Blazing Mayhem, Salvation, and an extraction facility in his region. Moving forward, if we've already covered the activity in a previous person, we're not gonna cover it for them. It would just waste your time of me doing the exact same thing 5 times. Meaning that as we progress through the video, we will do less and less in what it appears to be for each individual ally. But in reality, I'm actually doing more and more. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's do everything for Dane. Up first, we got Torment Fraud. Torment Fraud is just insurance fraud, but with the twist of getting to know the husk in which you are inhabiting. I actually think this is a really cool concept to be able to call back to other past characters within the franchise. In fact, at one point, we're going to redo Luz. I think I butchered that name. The wife of the man in Saints Row 1 from the Lost Canales that ended up showing up at the end with the shoes that were last season's issue. And we get to hear that she basically was passed around like a hooker. between different drug lords until eventually she was killed. I like that. Is it good enough for you to be like, wow, I want to do that like 15 times? No. The concept's good, but I do also want to talk about the mechanics. In Saints Row 4, the mechanics for insurance fraud were absolutely brutal. And ironically, I think in Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, it's the best it's ever been. It's just enough that you feel like it's chaotic, but not enough where you feel like, oh my god, I don't want to do that ever again. It's neither challenging nor boring, and that's what I appreciate about it. It's funny to me that out of every Saints Row game, including the reboot, the one that got it right was the standalone, not DLC, totally its own game, Gat Out of Hell. Not saying it has the same spark as it did in Saints Row 1, but it's good enough that you don't think that it's a chore to do. You will do this a lot. The stories are pretty much always going to be the same, but the concept's cool. Commit fraud to lessen your time in hell. I like it. It fits the theme. In between missions, I'm flying around and I'm getting these clusters. This is how you upgrade your superpowers or your heavenly powers or your evil powers. I don't know what to call them. There's over 1,200 of these things you gotta collect. I won't collect them all in this game. I don't have the patience for it after doing it in Saints Row 4. Just know I am doing it though. That's good.
All right, buddy, let's take this opportunity to stretch those wings. I've set up a rudimentary flight path through the city. All you need to do is hit the checkpoints in the order they appear. Now, because I'm a swell guy, I put some orbs out there to help you. The white ones will recharge your wings. The green ones will give you more stamina. Let's go.
It's time for Hellblazing and or Trailblazing if you remember it. Now, in Saints Row 4, I didn't like Trailblazing because it just felt terrible. In Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, I like what they did with it. Is it as good as the original Trailblazing? No, but it's trying to draw on that member berry while simultaneously being its own thing, and I do think that it successfully does that. Essentially, you race through hell collecting little points and little orbs, and you get to the finish line. I don't know how else to explain it to you. What I will say is that the mechanics are very intuitive. It feels much better than in Saints Row 4 to fly, so it makes these activities a lot better to do. As you unlock superpowers, it's going to become easier and easier. There's even an ability to have more time added to get gold, which means if you don't get gold on everything, it's kind of your fault. But there is something satisfying about whipping through these like courses and doing the sharp turns that the game requires you to do with Gat. I had a lot of fun doing actually both these activities so far. There wasn't actually one activity I didn't like. There was weaker ones, but this is one of the stronger ones. Once again, you're going to be doing this a lot. Pretty much every district has one of these. They never get more complicated than what you're seeing on screen, because as you level up and gain abilities for flying, the courses don't level up and get harder. It will always be what you're seeing here. But I'm okay with that. It's okay to turn off your brain and just be amused without some corny joke being handed to you every 2 seconds like in Saints Row 4.
Okay, I have a thought on how we can get the attention of Satan, and I really think you're gonna like this one. Blow the shit out of everything, and I mean everything! Demons, cars, fences are real popular. Just tear this place apart.
It's time for Mayhem, everybody's favorite chaotic mission that I didn't like in Saints Row 4. Essentially, everything I'm going to say is going to reference back to Saints Row 4 because in my firm opinion, this is a DLC for Saints Row 4. I understand it's its own standalone game or whatever you're going to tell me, but at the end of the day, it's Saints Row 4's DLC. Hence why it picks up from the exact moment that the other game ends, and hence why it so heavily references everything in Saints Row 4. I digress. The Mayhem missions, they're pretty good. They're not that special. I will say that they're not as redundantly stupid as in Saints Row 4. Some of the weapons we get to use are pretty cool. Like later on, there's a frog gun that you can shoot frogs out of, and those frogs bounce around and explode things. But I think my favorite moment was the fact that they referenced the fences as being pretty popular, because every single time I've ever done a Mayhem mission since Saints Row 1, I've always just looked for fences. It's a fast way to build up your multiplier and gain a bunch of points for destroying the bigger items. Sadly, they reference the fences, but there is not that many fences in Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. Don't know if you know this, but wood and aluminum don't hold up well to lava. So often you won't even notice a fence. You might hit one here or there, but you're not going to really be searching for them. The Mayhem missions are good, and they're great at introducing you to some guns that maybe you wouldn't even think about using. But at the end of the day, there's going to be one weapon that you're always going to use, and I'll share it with you here in a bit.
All right, it's salvation time. Satan's using his magic to send souls skyward and downward into oblivion. That's where you come in. Catch the falling souls before they hit ground and use an arcane blast to free the souls rising upward. Of course, once you do that, you'll still have to catch them before they drift off to their death. Speed is key here. You'll get a bonus for every soul you can save before touching down. Now let's go save some clients. I mean souls. Poor souls that need help.
It's time for salvation. As you just saw in the intro sequence, you have to save souls from going to hell or going to heaven or whatever. Essentially, if they're going up, hit Q, and then that will blow up their shield, and then you can collect them, and this will increase your multiplier up to a maximum of 4. Souls that are going down are... you just collect those. It's essentially a collect-a-thon. I do like the fact that they tried to do something unique with the side activities for this game. I think the concept for salvation is actually a really good concept, and it makes sense from a hell versus God standpoint. You know, the devil versus his father, blah, 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 blah. In fact, it's referenced multiple times throughout the game that heaven and hell have been kind of overloaded since the destruction of Earth by Zenyak. Hell was okay because of the currency, but God is making mistakes, or St. Peter's making mistakes at the pearly gate, so some of the spirits aren't supposed to be down here. Totally cool. I like it. The lore's there. I wish there was just a little bit more here, and what I mean by a little bit more, there should have been something that was there to try to stop us from saving the souls. There's flying enemies that exist in this game. Why couldn't they have, you know, come up and grabbed us and pulled us and fought with us in the air, making us do a QTE event? Much as I hate QTE events, it would at least have added more than just flying around collecting these things. They give you like 3 minutes or something, and later on like 5 minutes. I don't think I ever went over a minute and a half. And especially because you're seeing my longest one right now. Later on, once you're fully maxed, you can literally do the hardest version of this in under 50 seconds. So I think if they had added some sort of evil flying entity that would grab us and pull us, or maybe you had to carry the souls to a certain point and something would be fighting you along the way, it would have added a little bit to this and just put that cherry on top of the cake, if you will. Otherwise, it's fine conceptually, and once again, if you turn off your brain, you can very much enjoy it. But so far, you've had to turn off your brain a lot, and when the player doesn't have to think about anything, it's easy to forget what you're doing. Hence why a game like Gat Out of Hell is so not remembered very well. Because you're doing nothing really special. There's no big aha moments. You're just kind of collecting things in this one. And though I like the concept, I have to admit it's a bit boring. If you like it, that's cool though.
You've just entered one of 4 soul extraction facilities. This is where souls enter hell to have their sins removed and then thrown to the streets to wander for eternity. Now make no mistake, this isn't Satan being magnanimous. Sins are the currency in hell. That means these places are the cornerstone of his income. There's 3 sections of the facility, and to fully take it over, you need to capture all 3. But be careful. Satan's goons are going to be looking to reclaim any section you're not guarding. We pull this off, you'll hurt Satan and Ultor makes money. It's win-win.
Extraction, probably my least favorite activity in the entire game. Conceptually, it sounds cool. It's a facility that drains the soul and turns you into a husk, and that's what's been walking around hell. Yet when we get in here, all you have to do is shoot the same enemies you've been shooting the whole time, and then stand in a spot until the bar fills up, and then do that a couple more times. Where's the thing that's going to extract the soul? We need to remember, Gat is a human being with a soul in hell. Same with Kinzie if you're playing with Kinzie. By the way, I never mentioned that. You can also play as Kinzie if you wanted to. You'd think in an extraction facility, there should be some sort of gameplay mechanic that would make us have to defend our soul from being taken, while simultaneously, you know, doing the activity's tasks. Like an enemy, or maybe like an orb, or a machine, just anything. Because I've said this once, and I've said it twice, and I've said it through every single review we've done, standing in one spot and defending a location is never fun for anybody. And when you have a concept as cool as a giant factory that extracts souls and all you do is stand in it, as a person with a soul, it just kind of loses all luster. It becomes this rusty mess. Like, every once in a while in Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, you can see that they tried to make this a unique game. And it almost comes across as maybe it was made as a DLC and they just added random shit here or there to fill up more time. But the fact of the matter is that the story is broken up by these side quests, and you're going to do this a lot. And it never gets any harder than this. Actually, in fact, everything that we've done, everything you just saw will get easier as we play through the game. Just something worth noting. That was Extraction you just saw. Now, we've done enough to piss off the devil. Remember, I said there's mandatory cutscenes. It just happens. You can't control it. You do enough chaos in hell, and the devil's gonna pull you into a cutscene to scold you and tell you off. See?
Satan didn't have much time to react to the war Gat was waging, because at home, Jezebel was waging a war of her own.
I don't love them.
You think I care?
If you started acting like a father, you would.
I'm looking after your best interest.
You don't care about my happiness. This is about you. If you just stop telling...
You will marry that saint, and I won't hear another word!
I won't do it.
You think because you're my daughter, you think that you're above it all. But schemes are currently in motion. Your choice, be a wife or be a thrall. They say the devil's in the details, and I have some more for you. Celestial light doesn't shine a ray here. Happy endings are through. You belong to me. I'm giving you away. Your blood will not save you. My hand will be cruel if you disobey. You belong to me.
Never. I'm sick of perdition, so tired of tradition, but now my time has come to go break away, to live for today, to stand out beneath the sun. I know there has to be some way for me to be free, just living a life that's far from the strife and torturous pain, someplace that's far from here and not awash with fear. Oh God, I can't wait to cast off this hate. I want to find love. There's a big wide world for me to explore. So many things that I don't know. Like, would I like ice cream? How do I feel about cats? And is Nightblade my new favorite show? But until that time, I'm stuck in this hell, a relentless tempest of rage, surrounded by guards, betrothed by my father, trapped inside this gilded cage.
It's not working, Kinzie.
You don't know that, Johnny.
Tearing this place apart, but Satan doesn't even seem to...
We didn't come this far to fail.
You think I'm giving up?
We have one less place to go.
What if it doesn't work?
The bus is counting on us.
You think I don't know? How do I burn down a city that's baptized in fire? How do I kill off an army that's dead? Time's slipping away now, and the best plan we've got is just put one inside Satan's head. If roles were reversed, God, I know they'd save me, but all my solutions involve murder sprees.
You have to stay the course and kill without remorse.
Yeah, that sounds fun, but what has that done? We're still where we stand.
The day isn't over yet. Our sun's not begun to set. No matter how small, the wings of a fly can create hurricanes. Johnny Gat. Hope. I feel hope for the first time I've ever in my life. Gat is the name that cuts through my father like a knife. The seed of rebellion, it grows like a weed, and someone so violent is just what I need. There's no turning back now, the die has been cast. This sinner has found her saint, I'll be free at last. The people, the music, it waits up above. I know I'll be happy when I find love. I know I'll be happy when I find love.
What the fuck was that? Okay, so the Devil's Daughters ran away and she's going to come to Ultor. We'll get to that in a minute. I have to do this a little out of order to complete each character. So I'm going to finish off Dane right now before the end of the game.
Hey! Get your hands off me, you fucking troglodyte!
We have your friends, mortal, and they will writhe until their screams no longer please us.
Hang tight, Dane, I'm coming.
Now, as I just said, it's going to be a little out of order, but it's going to make sense. I'm just going to do each character in its entirety, so then when they're done, we don't have to keep going back and forth. After we meet Jezebel, Devil's going to get angry, and he's going to send out his agents of hell to capture our friends/allies. We're going to have to fly around and save them. Now, lucky for us, they're doing their rituals literally out in the open. I know the entirety of hell is available to them, and they're like, no, we're going to do it in the middle of a street, or in the middle of a chasm, or in the middle of this empty island. So finding them's not hard. Then you just shoot the orbiting devil people, revive your homie, and the mission's done. And then you do this for every one of your allies. Once again, conceptually, sounds super sick. Actual practice and actual execution, super duper lame. It's kind of like the first time you have sex, but the girl you're having sex with has already had sex lots of times, but you think you rocked her world. She's just sitting there like, oh, that was like doing it with a floppy fish. That's what it's like playing Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. Just kind of flops around there. Now, I know the map on screen doesn't show me completing it 100%, but I'm telling you I completed the map 100%. Once you complete 100% of the Forge, you're gonna go learn Dane's real plans, what his actual thoughts are for Hell through a cutscene.
Despite what he told Johnny upon their first meeting in Hell, Dane had other motivations for standing against the Prince of Darkness. Upon first arriving in Hell, Dane approached Satan with an open hand. However, no matter how much Dane tried to build a working relationship, the devil only begrudgingly extended the lightest of professional courtesy. Dane had no issue working with people, but being treated as a pawn, not as a partner, was beneath him. He was insulted. And for that, Dane would see Satan brought low, and he knew exactly how to do it.
Kind of leaves a lot to be discussed there, doesn't it? A whole lot of nothing was said, but it does make sense. As we complete the characters, you'll see that plan unfold, hence why I'm doing it this way, because I'm so smart. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell is an extremely fragmented story. It's like a mirror that has been shattered, and then you're still trying to do your hair in it. You can get it done, but it's gonna be awful to try to look at. Same thing can be said about Gat Out of Hell's story. It's confusing as all hell. The next character we're gonna work for is Blackbeard on his ship in the Barrens. The Barrens is one of the smaller regions in New Hades, so it doesn't take much to complete it to 100%. In fact, it's pretty dang quick.
Abandoned ship! We've been boarded!
I'm a big fan of janky cutscenes, and Gat Out of Hell's full of janky cutscenes. Whenever we actually do get a cutscene that isn't just, paints. All we're tasked with Blackbeard right off the bat is just killing some imps. I have to say, the whole concept behind having Blackbeard in Hell on a ship that sails on lava. Oh wait, it doesn't. It's just stuck on a rock because in this game, it even admits that the wood ship can't float on the lava. What a missed opportunity to have us fight against Blackbeard, one of the most feared pirates in all of pirate history. And instead, we're relegated to fighting imps while he is calmly talking beside us and then immediately gives us treasure, which is right out of left field when it comes to Blackbeard.
I got a bit of treasure in that chest over there. The weapon you find inside may help with our little imp problem.
Let me get this straight. So Blackbeard's having a problem with an imp infestation on his ship, which, by the way, he summoned here to be his crew. And in a chest not 10 feet away from him, he happens to have a god hammer that is capable of dealing with this very problem. We only just got to Hell. Blackbeard's been down here for hundreds and hundreds of years before Gat ever arrived. And at no point has Blackbeard, one of the most feared pirates of the seas, thought to use the hammer that is literally called the God Hammer on his problem. What a plot hole! And it's so nice that the pirate, who's mostly known for not giving away his treasure, immediately gave us away treasure. Blackbeard's such a nice guy. He's got a bad rep in history.
I summoned these imps to serve as my crew. I forgot what a handful they could be. Once aboard,
They wouldn't listen to their captain. They ran amok in the bowels of the ship.
And now, just in case we didn't do it enough times the first 2 times, we're gonna kill the imps one more time for Blackbeard. This is also, eventually, he'll also bestow upon us the ability to summon imps. That's pretty cool, but the repetitive gameplay for the very second character we ever met is crazy. Such a missed opportunity here. Like, if you're playing darts, they threw it at the wall and ended up hitting a girl named Sarah and missed the board completely. Such a missed opportunity. Like, I'm just picturing a lava fight, sword fighting against Blackbeard, besting him so then he becomes our ally. Instead, we fight a bunch of little tiny versions of your mom. What I'm saying is your mom's an ugly imp. Disgusting imp.
Zinyak's destruction of Earth had a profound impact on the afterlife. To heaven, it was a logistical nightmare. St. Peter's meticulous nature drove purgatory wait times to unbearable levels. Meanwhile, in hell, where souls in pain were used as currency, it created a new era of prosperity for the wickedly enterprising. This economic boon resulted in the coffers of hell to be overflowing, which in turn piqued the interest of the most notorious man that sailed the 7 seas. Long had Blackbeard been a thorn in Satan's side, robbing tax collectors on a semi-regular basis. But the promise of an immeasurable fortune drove him to be even bolder. An arrangement was reached. Blackbeard would provide information on strategic targets in exchange for a share of the profit. Johnny, who was interested in murder, not money, happily agreed.
Now, as I said, as we play through the game and we complete each character to 100%, well, at least their region, the plan for Dane is going to come more into fruition. After every single time we meet one of these characters and they give us a single power, we're then going to be sent back to the Altor building, which conveniently has a training facility right underneath of it to learn how to use our powers. In this case, we're learning how to use our imp summoning powers, which is hit Q, and then imps appear and they fight against the bad guys. Sounds pretty neat. And to be honest with you, it kind of is. I actually use the imps a lot for a activity you guys are going to see here shortly as a distraction method. And they work pretty well for that. Otherwise, they're kind of useless. While we sit here and we do our training thing, I want to take a look at what Blackbeard requires us to do to complete his region 100% as his loyalty mission. He wants us to do the chest glyph hunt in the Barrens. Essentially, you got to find 3 glyphs and then you can unlock a chest. I'm not going to show you that because it's super boring. And you can do it literally on your own in 3 seconds. He wants us to do a survival, a marshalling grounds, a salvation, and then we can return to him to learn what his real plans are. As I said, the segments in between each individual character will get shorter because they don't really introduce any new activities as we play through the game. Every once in a while, there's just like a glimpse of it, but there's not really anything new and exciting to do. So while we cover each individual activity like we normally do in our big form videos, it's instead broken up in between talking to these people. I genuinely do wish that there was more here for us to put our teeth into. Sadly, there's just simply not. Ironically, I've already surpassed the amount of time it would actually take you to beat this game if you didn't have to do the side activities in the video that you're watching. Let's get these activities out of the way.
There's lots of ways to get Satan's attention, but we should never forget the classic, rampant fucking murder. Pride is a sin the devil's army has in spades, so if you want to pick a fight, you can bet your ass they're coming in droves.
Welcome to Survival. It's literally just fight inside of a small red circle on the entire map while enemies come to you, or sometimes they don't. This is one of those missions where at the beginning of the game it's going to be quite challenging, but if you just do a couple side activities and immediately level up your guns, it becomes incredibly easy. Like, I'm talking borderline not even worth your time. I actually remember the first time I played through this game a couple weeks ago for you guys before I lost my hard drive. I didn't do all the side activities. I just focused on whatever the mission told me to go do in order to progress the story. So the first time I actually beat this game, I finished at like 79% or something like that. This time I'm going to finish at 96%. But I went around, collected all the orbs, and I did all the side content that was available to me, and I ended up becoming overpowered. So this is the first fight I did in this game, so I wanted to show you how difficult it can be. Normally, these aren't going to take you 2 minutes. It's going to take you like 35 seconds. That's if the enemies actually come. A few times in my playthrough, and it might just be due to the modern hardware, I wasn't able to get the enemies to come. Like, I'd trigger the mayhem event or I'd trigger the survival event, and nothing would happen. game. I'd just be standing inside a red bubble on the map, waiting politely for the demons to come and try to kill me. And when the demons never came, I would just move on. As I've said already multiple times, as you progress through the game, the missions don't get harder. They're the exact same ones. So when it says mayhem easy or survival easy, and then you look at one and you go, this one says hard, and you're expecting a challenge, you won't get one. There is zero scaling for damage. There's zero scaling for difficulty. There's nothing that will increase the difficulty you're seeing on screen now. You're watching currently the hardest it will ever be. After this, it's going to be easier and easier and easier because your guns are so brutally overpowered in Saints Row Gat Out of Hell so quickly that you basically overpower yourself before you've ever even completed the game. We're only on the second character. And I can tell you right now, I was already overpowered, so I had to go back and show you footage from when we first got into the game. Otherwise, you guys would have been like, what the hell? Anyways, that is survival. You're going to do that a lot.
All right, you found one of the marshalling grounds. Satan uses these things to arm and send off armies to crush his enemies. If you convert all the control stones, we should be able to use them to get around hell even faster. Predictably, there's a terrifying archdemon protecting the marshalling grounds, so it's gonna be a fight. Don't worry, though. Well, maybe you should worry. It's a scary fucking demon, but whatever. You'll figure it out.
All right, let's talk about the marshalling grounds. Now, in reality, it sounds cool. These are the gateways for Hell's army to storm upon the heavenly plains for the fight against the devil and his father. Wow, that sounds immensely cool. In reality, it's a fast travel location, even though you have fucking wings and the power to super sprint. Yes, everything you are about to see on screen is so we can get a fast travel point in a game where we can fly everywhere in about 10 seconds. This has got to be the worst thing that they brought over from Saints Row 4, while simultaneously sounding like the coolest goddamn thing you've ever heard of. Hell, there's an Archduke who's gonna fight us. So let me break down how this is going to work, okay? You're going to show up to the location. It's a giant pit in the ground. This is so heaven's armies and the devil's armies can go to battle. This is where the devil would march his armies down to the portal to go to war. Inside the pit, there's going to be locations that you have to activate. These are essentially the relays from the hotspots from Saints Row 4. You're going to go up to it and you're going to give it one hell of a goddamn high five. Doing so will activate it, and then you're going to do that 2, 3, 4 times depending on where you're doing your marshalling grounds. While you're doing this, there's going to be a horde of enemies that are going to fight you. Earlier on in the game, just like every single else that we've talked about, the enemies are going to be extremely hard to deal with. Not to the point where you can't deal with it, but they're just going to be more annoying. Later on, it's going to be extremely easy to deal with. As like I said, the game does not scale to the power level that the game offers you. You will very quickly outgrow every single enemy in this game, including the Archdukes. The enemy is there to shoot you while you try to activate these points, but there is a finite of enemies there, which I do appreciate. Or at least in my experience, there is. I never really had a problem with enemies constantly spawning at one of the door gate things that we have to tickle. So you will eventually get it done, where that will then trigger the Archduke to come from the heavenly skies, or I guess the fiery skies above you, to fight you. At the beginning of the game, this is a pretty cool moment, and he is very overly powered, and it is quite interesting to fight against. And you would think that fighting against an Archduke would give you something crazy and overpowered. Well, eventually it does, but by the time that comes in, there's zero reason to use the God Sword, or whatever it's called, when literally you have an armchair with 30,000 rounds in it, and rockets. We're ahead of ourselves here. I'm sorry. He comes down and he's got a few moves. He's a lot funner to fight when you compare it to, say, its equivalent, which was the Wardens from Saints Row 4. He has a shield. He does a couple different moves. He doesn't do the constant bouncing around and flips and stuff like that. So inherently, it is a better fight overall. It just lacks a feedback loop of like, I beat a boss, here's my reward. Your reward is simply going to the middle of the marshalling point and activating the portal so then you can fast travel around the map if you really wanted to. But there's absolutely no reason to. Meaning that, once again, I kind of feel like the game might have accidentally showed that it wasn't supposed to have the superpowers and the wings. Because in all reality, other than the salvation and the hell blazing, every other activity is on foot. and there's cars and stuff like that. So once again, I don't know if it's actually the case. It just kind of feels like every once in a while the game shows you that maybe it wasn't intentionally designed around the superpowers, because everything else fits into this convenient bubble of driving around and, you know, doing things like we used to in Saints Row, and then just two things stand out as like, hey, you have powers. You have the ability to fly and you have the ability to run fast. And I kind of amplify this and kind of in my own mind provide my own proof by the fact that the collectibles that are based around, you know, flying and running fast are all just scattered willy-nilly around, and there's over 1,000 of them for absolutely no reason. Other than that, if you took out those two activities and just had Gat run around like he would have in Saints Row 1, 2, and 3, it feels like the game is more designed around that. Because, like, think about it. Like, why the fuck are husks walking around and driving cars and going to gas stations and stuff like that? It doesn't make any sense. But if we take it at face value, then I guess then we can say that why put this in at all, right? Like, I'm arguing more on the side of Saints Row, Volition, and Deep Silver than the game is for itself. Because the only point in time in which I will use these marshalling points is to get a sword, and that only happens after you are very far into the game and already super overpowered and you have no reason to use said sword. I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to be like, oh, well, it fits this one niche thing and it's true to the lore. I don't give a fuck. From a gameplay standpoint, it's a complete and utter waste of time. And from a gameplay standpoint, I'm going to move on because I've already spent more time on this than I should have. Just like before with Dane, one of our allies, Blackbeard, has been captured by the evil floating orb things in the sky, and we're going to have to go and save him. In fact, we're going to have to do this for every single character, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm shocked by it. It would have been cool if each character had its own kind of permanent hell that it was getting into instead of just constantly being drained out in public. Like, what if Blackbeard was stuck inside of a water bubble that was boiling because he's a pirate, and we had to find buckets to siphon the water off of him? I know it sounds dumb, but come on, it's cooler than this. I've done this. I've done this for every single mission we've done. The survival mission has these floating dudes. Mayhem has these floating dudes. Your notoriety rating has these dudes. We've done this. So like literally at this point, anything would have been better. Fucking SpongeBob sitting here would have been better than this. Imagine Blackbeard just singing the SpongeBob anthem over and over again, and that's his hell. That would be pretty good. Oh, who lives a pineapple under the sea? I apologize. Okay, so we have now done in our video every single thing that Blackbeard has asked us to do, and he now owns the Barrens 100%, meaning we have completed his loyalty mission as well as given him the Barrens. So we're going to cover both his loyalty mission part where he talks to us while standing at his wheel, and I'll also give you guys his cutscene part where it explains his plans now that he owns the Barrens, as well as it'll put another piece into Dane's plans for Hell as a whole once he gets control of Hades. Once again, I apologize that it's disjointed. I didn't make this game. I'm just playing it over a decade later, and I'm just as confused as you guys are by the story.
The Barrens is the perfect staging grounds for all manner of operations against Satan. But first, we have to secure it. Well done, matey! Now to fix the damage those blasted imps did to my ship. The Barrens is ours! Now to start pressing souls into service. Soon, the Queen Anne's revenge will be a thing to be feared again!
Blackbeard was pleased. While some would call Dominion of the Barrens a small prize, to Blackbeard it was exactly what he needed. An out-of-the-way place to hoard his treasure and live like a bandit king.
If Zinyak had a spirit board that could send us to hell, what other toys does he have lying around?
Emboldened by the power of song, Jezebel set out to find the one man that could save her from her impending nuptials. Fortunately for her, Johnny's trail of destruction wasn't too hard to follow.
One night with any lover, but you have to punch a panda. Do you do it?
Ooh, good question.
Mr. Gat?
Who are you?
Well, I'm
We're not doing that again.
Oh, okay. I'm Jezebel.
Good to know.
What are you doing?
Threatening you. You're not marrying the president.
I don't want to marry the president.
Well,
That was easier than I thought.
My dad's making me do it. What now?
Now I'm holding you hostage.
You don't need to do this.
Yeah, that's what hostages always say.
No, like, you really don't need to do this. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, but I already have the gun drawn, so,
Are you kidding me?
maybe. Not sure yet, I'm kinda winging it.
Can you wing it without the gun?
It's a comfort thing.
Not for me.
What do you want?
For you to put the gun down.
Get used to disappointment.
You sound like my father.
What?
He's always telling me that life is about misery, not happiness. That dreams only exist to make people forget about their own mediocrity.
Man, that's depressing.
Being the devil's daughter sucks.
What do you want?
I want to punch my dad in the face.
We're gonna get along just fine.
Of course, Jezebel was speaking metaphorically, but Johnny didn't notice. Jezebel was eager to help Johnny in any way she could, and vowed to find a way to sneak him into the palace. Johnny frowned at the seemingly arbitrary amount of time required for Jezebel to find a way to sneak him in. But he accepted the fact that without traditional missions, this was the best way to further the story.
Once again, Volition, just because you acknowledge the fact that you had lazy writing in a lazy game and a terribly designed game, and you did it in a way that you thought was funny, doesn't make it funny or any less hurtful that you thought this was a good game. It's time to go after the De Winter sisters. We need them as allies because they're moguls or whatever. I need you guys to pay attention to how I fly in there and land directly where I should. And I need you guys, if you're here, to tell me how great that landing was. The De Winters control downtown. Probably the most annoying district to get collectibles in, but the least offensive on your eyes. So I guess there's a bit of a trade-off there. I don't know, you decide.
We're standing in a parking garage. I don't like it either, but Centerpool isn't giving us many options. I can't believe they tried to force us out. I can't believe you forgot the mimosas. I think we have bigger problems. I don't think you realize how much I love mimosas.
I think it's time we put the actual elephant in the room into the spotlight. At the beginning of every single one of our deep dives, I talk about critics versus players, and then I mention what the critics thought, and I mention what the players thought. Then I include a segment about what the feeling was in general. But it's time to call out the critics a little bit. Like, you're telling me that this is innovative, and you're telling me that this is fun, and you're telling me that this is an open sandbox game. And well, at the core fundamentals of each one of those things, you're 100% right, but does it actually offer us anything? No, and that's what I'm trying to get at. The critics toted this up as a fun, chaotic story that's filled with laughs and lulls and, you know, great moments, but in reality, it's just us going to a location and doing a quick 30-second talking scene where it's not even in cutscene form 90% of the time, and then just shooting the shit out of stuff for the next 2.5 minutes until we get then another non-animated cutscene. As a whole, the gameplay is extremely repetitive, and then when you factor in the fact that the developers didn't even take the time to give us fully animated cutscenes for when we're meeting some of these characters, it's fucking wild. What makes it worse is as we go through this, we're slowly going to learn that other characters are down in hell, Killbane being one of them. Actually, every single gang leader that we've fought up until this point is in hell, and they're actually staging in a whole cabal to go against our allies. Sounds pretty cool. Did you know that at no point will we ever see this war come into fruition, and in fact, we will only see it at the very end of the game if we pick a certain ending, and we've done all the loyalty missions, which you're about to see, well, you have seen us do. There's nothing here. There's nothing for us to sink our teeth into, and for the critics to be giving Gat Out of Hell a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and putting this on par with other games like The Witcher is absolutely blasphemy. And they should be smited by God. The critics couldn't have been more wrong here. In fact, the only people that toted this game up were just die-hard fans at the time. Most people saw this as what it was, a shameless cash grab and a half-hearted attempt to cash in on the franchise, while simultaneously using one of our favorite characters to do so. Anyway, here's the De Winters cutscene.
After being reunited in hell, Kiki and Viola wasted no time in doing what they do best: facilitate the running of businesses. However, the De Winter sisters' success did not sit well with other would-be power players in hell. The sisters' operations all came under attack at once, forcing them on the run. Soon, the twins found themselves on the receiving end of an offer they couldn't refuse. After all, it was better to own 1/5 of something than to be dead.
Yep, they came to Hell and immediately just started helping make Hell hell. You know what, it fits the thing, I don't care. I'm just gonna leave it as what it is and we're not gonna ask too many questions about it. We're gonna do what we've been doing this entire video. Let's take a look at what the twins want us to do for their loyalty mission, which is really what side activities do we have to do that we haven't done yet. Taking a look at our objectives list, we have Mayhem, done. We have Soul Blasting the Altar. We can definitely do that and talk about it. Hellblazing Survival, Marshalling Grounds, Hellblazing, and then Return to the Twins. You'll notice that the farther we get into the game, well, to be honest with you, you can go to any character in any order that you want. Think of each region as its own individual location that's completely separate to another region. The tasks that are there might transfer over to another region, but it doesn't matter where you start. You can start at Vlad, Shakespeare, Blackbeard, wherever you want. This is just the order I did my playthrough in. So sometimes there's going to be tasks that overlap, and what they end up doing is they add more to it, so you just end up doing more Hellblazing or whatever. So let's go do our loyalty mission to the twins.
Hey, looks like you kicked the dust off one of those ancient altars. Whenever you find the right power to activate one of these things, and let's be honest, you have 4 to choose from, it's not rocket science, you'll be imbued with the new arcane element for that power. Sounds too good to be true? Well, it kinda is. Once you steal the power from the altar, a bunch of guardians will appear and try to kill you. But if you use your new power to clear them out, it's yours to keep.
Okay, so altars. The Winter Twins gave us the power of Blast, which means that we can now blast things. Think of it like the freeze power from Saints Row 4, or in this case, it's a rock power because we're in hell. There's 4 powers to choose from. There's an aura, there's the imps, there's the blast, and then there's the stomp. There's altars that coincide with this. These altars will then give you an upgraded version of said power if you complete the task. You'll never think about this literally ever after doing this because there's no point in using the powers. The game is simply too weak for the powers that you're given. So you'll just end up not ever switching it. Whatever you are left with is the one that you're going to use for the whole game. The altars are there and they're kind of cool. I guess the concept's cool, but it really just boils down to what everything else is boiled down to so far. It's just shoot everything in front of you and just mindlessly don't think about it. They like to use terms like guardians, so then you think, oh my god, there's going to be something new and exciting here, and then it's just the same things you've been fighting the whole time. It would have been way better if they had a boss that would pop up that had to be taken out by the specific ability that you were currently unlocking, both serving as a tutorial for that item as well as giving you something new and unique to fight. We're in goddamn hell. The amount of possibilities for bosses is literally endless. Just go to a history book, open to any page, and just pick whoever was the bad guy on that page. And you could literally just do that. You can even make them like new and unique, like mecha versions of them or whatever you want. Go watch Supernatural and just pick a ghost or a demon from there. Like, why aren't we fighting Crowley at any point? Or Alistair? Hell, give me the goddamn Grim Reaper. Now, as we go through this, I'm actually doing all the other activities in the region as well. I'm also collecting as many of the collectibles as I can. There is hundreds of them. There's like 39 Satan books. There's 5 for each individual character. Then there's also, like, in behind that, there's lookout points for Gat that unlock certain things, like just voice lines that don't actually unlock nothing. There's taco locations. There's over 1,200 orbs to collect. There's also unique weapons you gotta find. There's treasure chests and glyphs, and there's so much to collect that it really kind of just feels like you're playing one of those AI slop games that's currently taking over Steam, except for it's 11 years before that. What I mean is, like, just go look up like cleaning up the library or cleaning up the puzzles or cleaning up the art gallery, and you just go around and you pick up garbage and put it back in its place. That's the kind of vibe you're gonna get at a certain point inside of Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. And I think that's why the developers decided to force upon you the mandatory cutscenes you have to do. The best way for me to explain how Gat Out of Hell works is if you go play Far Cry, you can do as many side activities as you want, but eventually the game will just capture you, so then you have to go talk to the cult. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell does the exact same thing. As you do things, that meter fills, and then all of a sudden it just gives you a hard cut, here's a cutscene, hope you enjoy that. In fact, the only time you'll ever get freedom is at the very, very end of the game, where you have to go to Satan's balcony, and then you can go do all your side activities without the worry about being randomly ripped out of wherever you are to go do a cutscene. Ironically, the developers even found a way to make that annoying by having a constant bar and a constant waypoint set to the actual mission they want you to do. Plus, Vogel will come in all the time being like, you should really probably go do that thing that you were told to do. I just want you guys to note that in the end, I'm going to collect like 90% of the collectibles, but after a certain point, it's not like Saints Row 4 where you can click on the thing and then it gives you a waypoint to that thing so you can go find it. You have to look at the mini map, and if you're too high, certain things don't render, and if you're too low, certain things don't render, so you got to fly multiple times over every island to find everything. I find the majority of it. With that being said, we've done the one mission we have to do for the De Winter Sisters to be fully done with the loyalty for them, or at least in the video form of this coverage. I had to do everything on that list. I'm only just showing you the new and unique stuff, meaning it's going to get to the point where I don't have to show you nothing. We just get to go right through it. But first, we must go save the De Winter Sisters. Okay, so we know how the fight to save the De Winters is going to go, so let's offer the solution and what we could have done to make it better. That way, if we ever get another Saints Row game, it could be fixed. Oh wait, we already did, and they didn't fix none of this because they don't listen to criticism. Not saying all the devs don't, but the ones in charge, they're the ones that don't. I've seen a couple of you developers down in my comments, and I appreciate what you guys do. Here's what I would have done to fix this, okay? So instead of just having the same thing happen again, we could have done something like had multiple versions of the twins here. That way, you could have given us a new and unique gun to be able to suss out who is the real versions of the twins. They all could have been held captive or hostage or whatever, and you could have done some sort of like figure it out thing, something fun and quirky where you had to answer trivia or like literally anything. I can think of a million shows where they make duplications of characters and then you got to try to figure out who's the real character. And you could have done that, had a little game show or given us a gun like with Veteran Child, and we could have slowly fought off all the duplications of the twins while they slowly tried to kill us. But this is just the exact same thing over and over again, and I don't know how else to explain it to you guys. It becomes a little bit, I don't know, there's a word for this out there, and I don't know what to say it without feeling like I'm saying repetitive over and over again. So instead, we're going to use the word samesies. It feels a lot samesies. It feels like I'm just repeating things, and that's its own version of hell, which if you look at it that way, then I guess it makes sense. You put the player themselves in a version of hell where they have to constantly repeat themselves over and over again. Don't worry, the critics fucking love this shit. All right, we did our stuff for the loyalty mission, and we saved them. Let's go find out what happens for our loyalty mission. Wow, that was, at least the other characters talked to me. They didn't even show up. They just let me just come all the way here for that. You know, you could have just let that happen and not make me come all the way here. That probably would have been the better option here. Maybe it's a bug. I don't know. It happened in both my playthroughs.
Great job taking back downtown. Downtown wasn't about profit. It kind of was about profit. A little bit. Like 50%. The point is that it was also about making an impact. An eternity is a long time, and we both wanted to carve out something beautiful in this terrible place. Like Dane says, hell's what you make it.
Downtown was secured, but the De Winters knew it was only a matter of time before another storm arose. They had no idea how right they were.
Ain't no way you're gonna tease me. Killbane and all of them are down here as well. Oh, you sick sons of bitches. You know what they were trying to do? They were trying to set up a DLC for the DLC of the game that was also supposed to be a DLC. You know that's what they were doing here. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me. Now, you've probably seen a few times in the like little cutscenes and stuff that we do, I've been sitting in this chair. You actually get this chair from one of the very, very small amount of side quests that are available inside of Gat Out of Hell. I'm not going to show it as its own quest because literally Dane Vogel just calls us, goes, hey, you should take a break, go sit on this chair, it has guns, and then Gat goes, okay, and then you go there, you sit down, and you just get the chair. That's it. But when I tell you that this thing is extremely overpowered when you first get it, and then you can upgrade it to have literal guided missiles and all that stuff, it will become the only weapon you use, and you get this extremely early on in the game. In fact, I've been using it the entire time. The second you get this, every single mission where you have to defend a location becomes immediately completely and utterly pointless because this chair will just mow through them. It comes with like 15,000 rounds. Plus then you got rockets, plus then you got your abilities at the same time. The only limitation is that you can't aim up. So that means you got to get your fat ass up every once in a while to shoot one of the flying guys, or you could just back up and shoot them from farther away. I just wanted to share this because I've kind of hinted at the fact that there's OP weapons all around the map, and this is one of them. The other one is this sword that you get from doing all the marshalling grounds. I didn't use it at all in my playthrough. In fact, I got it and then I completely and utterly forgot that it existed. So yes, there is other weapons to collect. I didn't come close to collecting them all. I know some other people were like, oh my god, the amount of weapons in this game is crazy, but it's not as much as in Saints Row 4. I didn't really care. I got this chair. That's all I used for the rest of the game. I should also point out that Dex's husk is inside of hell, and you can track him down and kill him 7 times. He just kind of like randomly spawns around. I'm not going to show you every time you kill him, so then there's at least one thing that you can go do when you come back to play Gat Out of Hell if you choose to. Just know, I did go around and kill Dex, and his story's wrapped up in the final cutscene anyway if you choose a different ending, so really, you're going to figure it out anyway. I just wanted to note that I did hunt him down, and sadly, the carrot they've been dangling in front of you from Saints Row 2, 3, 4, and now Gat Out of Hell completely and utterly is pointless when they could have done something crazy with this and had Dex be like a super level villain inside of hell. Could have made him a corporate overlord in Saints Row 3. Could have had him been a maniacal person inside the simulation in Saints Row 4. Could have even just had him be a ruler of an enemy gang in Saints Row 2. They chose to do it this way, and that's on them. It's 100% a letdown, and I'm not going to deny that to you guys at all. Okay, it's time to go to our 4th ally, William Shakespeare. You remember that thing that the schools told you was super important you had to learn about, and he was one of them? Remember when they were like, you don't need to learn about taxes and how to file them. You don't need to learn how to make money through investments. You don't need to learn about how to buy a mortgage and all that stuff. No. You need to learn about William Shakespeare, a dude who may or may not have been gay, who also wrote plays. Yeah, so we're going to go see him. And what I find interesting about all this is the fact that he gets an animated cutscene. A guy who we've never met before in our entire Saints Row career. But the De Winter sisters get relegated to a random in-game conversation that ends in an ambush, and then they just disappear. It's funny where Volition chose to dedicate time and energy, and it almost feels like this was supposed to be a completely different version of this game. It's almost like Vlad and William were already in the game, and then they tacked on Blackbeard and the De Winter twins. You get what I'm saying? There's just this weird disconnect from the quality you get with some characters versus the quality you get with other characters. And I have this rule of thumb. If it doesn't make sense, it's your body telling you that there's something wrong. So when I look at this, I can see that there's something wrong here. Maybe it was rushed out. Maybe there wasn't enough money in the budget. Maybe they decided that the DLC needed to be expanded, so the way that they did that was just by adding in random other characters. Maybe there were supposed to be completely different villains in this story and allies. Who knows? We'll never know now, because instead we got the Saints Row 2022 reboot where everybody's a hipster and we talk about boba tea all the time and fucking waffles. Anyway, Shakespeare controls the entertainment district, shockingly. He's also a DJ, and you'll never guess what happens when we get there. We're gonna have to do something unique in this game for the first time in this entire game.
Lights up. William Shakespeare, humanity's greatest playwright, and hell's most diabolical purveyor of entertainment, looks on as a brave mortal on an Orphean quest enters. The bard's interest is piqued, and he looks to test his visitor's mettle. The mask.
We're gonna have to fight a ton of bad guys. Here's the thing. The problem when you make a video game where every single region is essentially restarting the story because there's no actual story arc to be had, what ends up happening is every single region turns into a tutorial. You can't make a region here harder than a region there, because what if the character decides to start with William Shakespeare, or start with Vlad, or start with the De Winters, or start with Blackbeard? You can't have one region be harder than the other because you gave them the choice to go there. So what ends up happening is every region has to be equally the same. That way, if they go one direction or the other, they're able to complete the goals in that region. Meaning that every region we go to, no matter what level we are, will always be starting out at level 1. So the best way to do that is to have every region start out the exact same way, by having the character and the player do the exact same thing. That way you can guarantee that they don't get overwhelmed. Hence why the game starts to feel extremely repetitive, because now I'm extremely overpowered, yet the enemies are the exact same ones I've been fighting the whole time. I hope that makes sense to you, because it makes sense to me in my brain at the very least.
In the land of the living, William Shakespeare is regarded as one of the most prolific playwrights of all time. However, to the denizens of hell, the bard is seen in a far different light. After selling his soul for fame and adoration, Shakespeare said, Shakespeare and his followers, the tragedies, took root in the entertainment district, biding their time for revenge.
Okay, Shakespeare's story makes sense to Shakespeare himself. It also explains why Jezebel has a love of theater. Let's see what we have to do to be loyal to Shakespeare. We have to do a mayhem check, hellblazing check, survival check, extraction facility check, and salvation check. Meaning, I don't have to waste your time doing any of this, because we've already done it. This is going to be a common theme for Vlad as well. So instead, all we have to do is go and save William Shakespeare. In a shocking twist of events, when we go to save Shakespeare, he's going to be at the center of two dark insiders, or whatever they're called, who are circling him, draining him of his life force. This has never been seen before in the history of Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. This is new and unique stuff here, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to appreciate whoever designed this, because my God, they deserve a raise and a cold side of the pillow no matter which side they choose. Okay, so now we've saved William Shakespeare and we've done all of his requirements to become loyal to us. It's funny how all his loyalty requirements is just do everything inside my entire district and then I'll be loyal to you. Also, I want to point out that the loyalty means absolutely nothing because it changes nothing for you. It changes some stuff story-wise, but nothing for you. We get to return to William, where he's then going to be loyal to us.
Shakespeare secretly longed for overt control of the entertainment district. If only someone could act on behalf of the thoughts he kept to himself. Shakespeare's tragedies moved throughout the entertainment district, eagerly awaiting their master's next command.
Jezebel's plan worked flawlessly, and when the time was right, she made her way to the bowels of the palace. But while she successfully managed to breach the castle walls to let Johnny in, she did not go unnoticed.
Put that toy down, Mr. Gat.
And why would I do that?
Oh, because if you don't, I'll break Jezebel's beautiful neck.
She's your daughter.
I'll say something kind at her funeral. Drop it. I knew it. It's you. It's always been you.
What you talking about?
You love her.
I really don't.
You love her! Ah, Johnny, my boy! I misjudged you. You've shown loyalty by walking into hell. You've shown cunning by robbing me. You've shown brutality by killing my generals. And now you're willing to sacrifice yourself for my daughter. You're the man who should be my son. Defiant to the end. Now listen, boy. You've proven your spirit, but don't presume to push me further.
Let him go.
Not now, Jesse. The men are talking.
Dad, let him go.
Look how you inspire her. She wants to kill me. You bring out the best in her. I'll offer you a deal, Mr. Gat. Marry my daughter, and I'll allow your companion to leave with the President's soul. It's your choice. You know where to find me.
The President's soul was within Johnny's grasp. All he had to do was marry Satan's daughter.
I need to give props where props are due. The voice acting in Saints Row Gat Out of Hell is absolutely phenomenal. I will not lie. So Gat's got to marry Jezebel in order to get the president back, who I have no attachment to because my character's not in this game. That's just some random default guy, and I don't know him. Vlad's in charge of the slums, but Vlad has been currently locked in prison because he has wronged Satan. His prison's pretty unique, I'm not gonna lie, and I wish they did a little bit more of that kind of humor and a little bit more of what we're about to see. It's actually the only real unique location that we go to that also has a unique fighting place. Otherwise, everything else is the same.
The horn on the bus goes beep, 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 beep.
This is those moments of brilliance that I just, every once in a while, you just see and you kind of get that vibe like, hey, I like this, but then you have to go right back to doing what you did before. This is creative. This is exciting. This is unique. I like the mascots. I like the whole concept of hell being a preschool. In a non-creepy way, I'm meaning like it would be an adult's nightmare to listen to the same song on repeat. Trust me, I know. I had a daughter during the Frozen 1 era. I'm very acquainted to how hellish hearing the same thing over and over again can be. Let it go, let it go. How about you get fucked, Elsa? How about you get royally fucked? This is just such a unique concept. Not in unique as in like, oh my god, it's mind-blowing, but like in comparison to everything else. It's bright, it's flashy, the concept is really fun. And it's moments like this that make me believe that this was supposed to be something else. Even as a DLC, it would have been more exciting than what we actually do. It devolves into what everything else has. We just kill a bunch of demons, but we do have to do a different task where we have to turn off the microphones that are playing the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round, over and over again. And with that, Vlad is now going to give us his list of things he wants done, but we'll first talk about other things.
Johnny led Vlad back to his castle, which since his incarceration became a haven for frat parties and squatters. But the systematic impaling of trespassers would have to wait. Vlad was a man of his word, and was eager to provide intel that could aid in hobbling Satan's armies.
I bestow upon you the Stygian cold fire.
Alright, Vlad's gonna give us another power that we're never gonna think about ever again. So let's take a look at his objectives for Vlad to become loyal to us, Gat. He wants us to complete Torment Fraud, Hellblazing, Marshalling Grounds, Pledge Rush. What the holy Jehovah Witness at the door, we got something new to do. And Survival. I'm so excited, I could literally crispate right now. Let's go figure out what Pledge Rush is.
I know this is petty, but Vlad won't stop bitching about some frat boys that tossed his castle when he was locked up. Personally, I got nothing against poli-sci majors with popped collars, but as a general rule, I like to keep people with nicknames like the Impaler happy. It'll really keep things going smoothly with Vlad if you could show up to one of the frat's pledge games and smack him around a bit. Who knows, maybe you'll make some friends. Isn't that what college is really about?
Uh-oh, is this a new and exciting idea that completes the actual feeling that this belongs into the realm that we're actually playing? That couldn't be the case because every other thing that we've ever done is completely the same thing we've been doing over the course of over a decade with Saints Row. Here's the objective. You take a bat that has spikes on it and you beat the crap out of demons who are going through frat party phases and you knock them into circles. Now, I gotta be 150% honest with you guys here. You don't have to aim shit. You can just hit the button, the click, and it'll spank them and they just go flying to the closest ring. Is it 100% accurate? No. Is it gonna always go through the ring? No. Are you gonna fail this challenge? If you do, it's a you problem, nobody else, because my God, it does it for you. All you have to do is hit things. I think it's a cool concept and it's a nice play on the Genkis thing, but it's kind of reminding me of Genkis. And when you remind me of Genki, I want Genki. I don't want this. Also, why the hell is Genki not one of the allies and/or villains that we can fight inside of Saints Row Gat Out of Hell? It seems to me that if there was ever a spot to have Genkis just be like kind of the forefront of the game rather than a side activity, it would be in Gat Out of Hell. Because now you've given me this frat boy thing, and all I want is Gat Out of Hells to have Genkis. This is actually one of the few games that doesn't have Genkis in it, other than the, the original one that didn't have anything to do with Genki. And my God, is it ever a missed opportunity here? Because now all I want is it. So we're gonna move on. It's a pretty fun activity. It's mindless again. You don't have to really do anything, and that's the only problem I really have with it. If I had to aim my shots, that'd be one thing. And I know somebody's gonna be like, you gotta put the camera at the angle in which it's facing in order to get the guy through the circle. But except for when you don't have to do that, and then your entire point's null and void. And with that task done, we can now go back to Vlad, and he will become loyal to us. So let's go do that.
I demand retribution for the violation of my home. Scour the slums for those responsible. A vision like Jezebel should not be squirreled away in an ivory tower. Thanks to you, my name is feared once more. I am in your debt.
All right, with everybody loyal to us, here's Shakespeare's and Vlad's plans back to back. Now you know everybody's plan. Wow, this all worked out for you, didn't it?
With the entertainment district completely under his control, Shakespeare again found himself in the limelight. The denizens of hell reacted in a similar fashion to mortal students throughout America. First they feared him, then they hated him, finally they loved him. Vlad was Dane's favorite type of business partner, a perfect mix of ruthlessness and integrity. In exchange for his help against Satan, Dane vowed to keep Ultor interests out of the shantytown, save for the occasional ad buys, naturally.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We did everything in the game. We 100%ed every region. I just didn't do all the collectibles because, my God, I'm not doing that. I did most of them, though. We finished off the game with 96% completion. I think that's pretty damn good. Here's the thing. Those loyalty missions and then the 100% like cutscenes that we did, they all culminate into exactly what you saw. It's just them signing contracts with Dane, which will then all play out in a cutscene at the end of the game that we don't get to actually see or do anything with. I hope that this made sense. I tried to do my best to make it tell a story, but the game itself doesn't tell a story. In fact, if I just took the 4 cutscenes with Satan and then did this fight, that's the story. It would be over in 20 minutes or less. So I tried to do my best to share with you everything the game had to offer. With that being said, it's time for us to crash a wedding that's not actually a wedding. You'll understand what I mean here in a second. Let's go do that.
Boss, you in there?
The time had come for the black wedding that would unite Johnny and Jezebel as Hell's new power couple. The tabloids were already calling them Johnny Bell, but Johnny had something different in mind.
Hey, Satan! You want to get out of here?
I can't believe that worked.
Occam's razor.
Playtime is over, Mr. Gat. Save them if you can.
I love weddings.
I am so goddamn hard right now. It's time for us to fight the devil. I do have to preface this. It is a bullet sponge fight. The mechanics don't really vary. It's just you shooting every single round you have into the goddamn devil. And I know we could nitpick it and be like, oh, I wish it had different game mechanics and blah, 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 blah. It's the fucking devil. I don't know what else we could do, really, in all honesty. We didn't get any holy powers to smite him. We didn't meet any allies other than Kinzie, who ironically shows up for the final fight, but none of our allies do. We didn't learn any cool spells or anything. It's just shoot him until he dies. And to be honest with you, I don't think that they could have done anything differently because they didn't introduce anything. At the end of the day, there's like 4 phases. He has a million health, and you're just going to shoot him, and he's going to go back to his thing, and then you're going to shoot his minions, he's going to come back, and you're just going to repeat that endlessly. I would have loved to have seen them just lean into the mythos of, you know, heaven and hell and really lean into it. Maybe we can make Michael an ally and we can call him down and he can help us in this fight. I would have really liked to have seen them lean heavier into the whole, like, this is heaven, this is hell, the world was exploded and there's souls on both sides and you're a part of a big epic war. As we went through hell and we made allies with some of the demons that want to go and rise against the devil, we could have also made some allies that were down here trying to figure out the chaoticness that Zenyak had left after the bursting of our planet. And through that, we could have made some really big allies like Gabriel and Michael, and then we could have also made some big enemies like Killbane and Crowley. And in the end, instead of having some lame-ass fight inside of a throne room, they could have had these 2 factions go to war over the actual goddamn planet. With the devil happy with the way things are right now because he's empowered and he's got all the souls he could ever hope for, and God trying to fix the wrongs of Zenyak. And in the end, depending on your choices throughout the game, because I would have added choices, you can either choose to become the ruler of hell by allowing the devil to take over, or you can choose to fix humanity and have God take over. And yes, the game loosely does this in the end, you'll see, but it doesn't fully put its full foot in. And I genuinely believe if they had done that, this could have been a great opportunity to reset the franchise back to the grassroots that the player base had been screaming out for since Saints Row 3. If they'd just been willing to go down the road that they started with Gat Out of Hell, and just say, I understand this is a smaller game, we're going to put our best foot forward, it's going to be a short story, but it's going to fix everything we kind of let get a little bit too far. Ironically, by going too far, they ended up going to the very solution that would have allowed them to, experience the franchise again and reset it. I'm going to have to make a choice at the end of this game between a few different things, and I'm going to spoil it for you right now. For the sake of our video series and for the sake of this playthrough, deep dive franchise thing that we've been doing, I'm going to pick to save the planet. It's going to come with its own cutscene and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, at least then we can continue to pretend like Saints Row exists on the planet and that Earth is back and all that stuff, rather than going into the reboot just assuming that it's a start to a whole new franchise, because my god, nobody wants to play hipster Saints Row. With that being said, let's watch how the game ends. I spent 6 hours playing this, by the way, so I've already given you guys way more than I thought I was going to get out of this video, but let's see how it ends.
And like that, the battle had ended. Satan could no longer suffer the indignity of being beaten by a mortal and disobeyed by his daughter, and so he banished them from perdition. But still, all was not well.
That was a direct order from your captain!
You're worse than Pierce!
Trivia night is sacred! You don't get to quit just because you know fuck all about pop culture.
Who knows the name of the Nightblade episode where they introduced Nightbladette?
It was called The Meaning of Reconciliation and was directed by Kim Stein.
I can't believe Asha sleeps with you.
I can't believe you don't.
Boss, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What is this place?
Whoa, who the fuck is that?
Her name's Jezebel. She's the devil's daughter.
Pierce is gonna have a heart attack.
Nah, she likes to sing. Pierce will dig her.
I don't think...
Can you rock the narrator from Joseph?
Yeah?
She'll be fine.
Guys, where's Johnny?
Our hero had not yet returned to the mortal coil, for he was waylaid by none other than God himself.
I have a situation.
Look, man, I just really want to go home.
I owe you.
Huh?
Zinyak hastened the apocalypse. St. Peter's a good guy, bless his heart, but he was processing souls way too slowly. With the destruction of Earth, Satan had the numbers to storm heaven. All he needed was the President of the United States to lead them.
What, you think I couldn't do it?
No, I think you wouldn't do it. Aisha's up here.
I want to see her.
Slow down, buddy. I said that I owe you, and I'll make good on that. But I want you to know your options.
And now you, dear reader, shape the tale. If you want to see Johnny reunited with the love of his life, turn to page 31. If you want to see the devil defeated and Johnny crowned the new king of hell, turn to page 13. Johnny knew that he couldn't choose his own happiness at the expense of humanity, and so he asked God to reshape the world, hoping that maybe, just maybe, in this new life, he could find his friends again.
It's really her.
I can't believe we've bagged Brimstone.
It doesn't make sense. She's evaded capture for years. Why would she drop the ball now?
I don't know. When the lieutenant gets to interrogation, Brimstone's gonna talk.
The end.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our deep dive of Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. I think it's okay. It does things better than Saints Row 4, it does things worse than the previous Saints Row games, but overall, I always think of it as a missed opportunity to right what was wrong. If you enjoy these forms of deep dive content, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe and consider becoming a channel member. If not, leave your comments down below, and I promised you guys a war that we don't get to partake in. So here's that, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy everything we work towards happening in a cutscene.
The alliance that Johnny brought together had far-reaching effects throughout the afterlife. For centuries, the Ultor Alliance ruled in relative peace, until a new threat emerged. A secret cabal that plotted to strike at a time of complacency. The war was long and tumultuous, but in the end, the Ultor Alliance prevailed. So what then became of those who aided Gat? Dane's partnership with Johnny changed him more than he knew. When William Sharp abducted Kiki, Dane risked his life to save her. The two got married soon after. Naturally, an ironclad prenup was agreed to. Sharp is now their pool boy. Vlad's castle was returned to its former terrifying glory. Kilbane's screams echo throughout the shantytown, a permanent reminder of what comes to those who question Vlad's dominion. Blackbeard now sails across the sky on the Queen Anne's revenge, searching for any others who would threaten the Alliance's control and pressing them into service. Shakespeare's considerable fame only skyrocketed when he unveiled his latest opus, the live burial, exhumation, and reburial of Shogo Akuji. The critics and audiences loved it. Shogo, not so much. People kept on tormenting Dex. The payback was well overdue. But Viola looked not for power or revenge. The deal she sought was of a different nature. Ever a realist, Viola knew there was no way to barter her way past the pearly gates, but she was quite confident she could reach a different arrangement with God. An annual conference between representatives of heaven and hell. It's really just an excuse for them to play volleyball.